a forgotten chapter in human history. For most of what we call civilization, we rely on relatively recent records, inscriptions, clay tablets, scrolls, and historical texts. These sources, though invaluable, come from just a tiny slice of our human story. This begs the question, what about the vast, unwritten past, the thousands of years before we began recording our history? Archaeology is limited to what survives the ages. But organic materials decompose, coastlines have shifted under rising seas, and natural disasters have repeatedly erased traces of ancient life. In truth, much of humanity's early story may have vanished without a trace, yet scattered discoveries, from the monumental to the mysterious, hint that we've only scratched the surface. Some sites seem older, more sophisticated, and harder to explain than traditional timelines allow. Places like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dating back over 11,000 years, challenge assumptions about the capabilities of ancient hunter-gatherers. Could these be fragments of earlier civilizations, long forgotten? This exploration is not about wild theories or hidden conspiracies. It's about considering a possibility that even mainstream archaeologists acknowledge. Our timeline isn't necessarily wrong. It may simply be incomplete. Göbekli Tepe, the monument that shouldn't exist. Among the most astonishing archaeological finds of the modern age is Göbekli Tepe in southeastern Turkey. First recorded in the 1960s but not fully understood until 1994, this site looked like nothing more than a hill until excavation revealed something extraordinary beneath. Giant T-shaped stone pillars arranged in circles, some weighing over 10 tons and standing over 16 feet tall. Even more surprising than the scale of the structure is its age. Nearly 12,000 years old, built long before agriculture or permanent settlements were thought to exist. This means it was constructed by hunter-gatherers, a group previously assumed incapable of organizing such massive undertakings. The pillars are decorated with carvings of animals, abstract shapes, and human-like figures. Their patterns seem intentional, possibly aligned with celestial events, hinting at a surprisingly advanced understanding of the world. And then, perhaps most puzzling of all, the site was deliberately buried around 10,000 years ago. Why? No one knows. It may have marked the end of a cultural era or served a symbolic purpose. Göbekli Tepe forces us to reimagine our ancestors, not as primitive bands wandering the landscape, but as socially cohesive groups capable of immense and complex spiritual or ceremonial projects. The Stone Hills Network, a broader tradition. Göbekli Tepe wasn't an isolated anomaly. Nearby sites, Karahan Tepe, Nevali Chori, Hamzan Tepe, and Sefer Tepe, share similar architectural styles and elements, forming what researchers now call the Taş Tepeler, or Stone Hills. Discovered just 46 kilometers from Göbekli Tepe, Karahan Tepe, revealed the same T-shaped pillars, sculpted faces, and planned chambers, suggesting a shared cultural tradition. These sites indicate a wider, organized network of people capable of long-term construction planning well before agriculture took hold. The sheer effort needed to build such structures suggests these places were centers of ritual or gathering, possibly encouraging early humans to settle, socialize, and perhaps eventually farm. German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt even proposed that monument building may have preceded farming rather than the other way around. Still, many questions remain. Why did construction at these sites suddenly stop? Why were they buried? And why haven't we found more widespread evidence of similar cultures? These mysteries don't disprove the mainstream timeline, but they do suggest we've only uncovered fragments of a deeper, richer story. Gunung Padang, Indonesia's hidden monument. Thousands of kilometers away in Indonesia, another site has stirred international debate. Gunung Padang or Mount Padang. Initially thought to be a simple hill dotted with volcanic stones, the site was later revealed to contain layers of man-made structures beneath the surface, built in stages. Surface. Features date to around 3,000 years ago, but deeper layers, according to some radiocarbon dating, may be as old as 10,000, 20,000 years, placing them potentially before the end of the last ice age. If accurate, this would make Gunung Padang one of the oldest monumental sites on Earth. FA's claim reached a peak in 2023 when a paper suggested Gunung Padang might be a 20,000-year-old pyramid-like structure. However, this study was retracted in 2024 due to questions about its methodology, especially around dating sediments instead of directly associated artifacts. Despite this, the site's layered construction, chambers, and massive stones are undisputed. Even without definitive dating, Gunung Padang is clearly more complex than once believed, and possibly built by a culture we have yet to understand. Lost cities beneath the sea. While sites like Göbekli Tepe and Gunung Padang challenge history, on land, some of the greatest archaeological mysteries may lie beneath the oceans. After the last ice age ended about 12,000 years ago, melting ice caused sea levels to rise by over 120 meters, submerging vast coastal regions. It's logical that early humans, like us, built their settlements near water. Many of those early coastlines are now underwater, erasing entire cities and cultures. Despite the difficulty of underwater archaeology, several sites have already been discovered. Dwarka, India, linked to ancient Sanskrit legends, underwater ruins off the coast reveal structures possibly 7,000 years old, with walls, roads, and artifacts suggesting a thriving city. Atlit Yam, Israel, a submerged Neolithic village over 9,000 years old, with homes, wells, and even human skeletons, one of the best preserved prehistoric coastal sites. Pavlopetri, Greece. Discovered in the 1960s, this 5,000-year-old town features streets, buildings, and tombs, offering rare insights into early urban life. Yonaguni, Japan. Underwater terraces with sharp angles and step-like formations have sparked fierce debate, natural or man-made. The answer remains elusive. Because less than 10% of the ocean floor has been explored in detail, many more submerged cities may be waiting beneath the waves. These lost settlements aren't fantasy. They're part of the historical record we've barely begun to uncover. Megalithic mysteries around the world. On land, ancient megalithic structures also challenge conventional narratives, not because they're unexplained, but because they show levels of precision and scale we still struggle to match. Baalbek, Lebanon. Roman ruins here include the Trilithon, 3 limestone blocks each weighing over 800 tons. How they were moved and placed remains a mystery. Sacsayhuaman, Peru. A fortress built with massive polygonal stones, some over 100 tons fitted together so precisely that not even a piece of paper fits between them, done without mortar. Pumapunku, Bolivia. Near Lake Titicaca, this site features stone blocks with interlocking shapes, smooth surfaces, and drilled holes, appearing almost machine-cut despite being thousands of years old. These sites defy easy explanation, not because they must come from lost civilizations or alien technology, but because they force us to re-examine what early societies were capable of with tools and techniques we haven't fully understood. Demonstrating advanced engineering techniques that seem out of place for the time period traditionally assigned to the site, archaeologists estimate that Pumapunku dates back over 1,500 years. Yet we still don't fully understand the technology or methods behind its extraordinary construction. Beyond these sites, other megalithic structures raise similar questions. Stonehenge in England is perhaps the most famous megalithic monument, dating back over 4,500 years. Constructed using massive stone pillars, some transported from distances over 200 kilometers away, Stonehenge's exact purpose remains uncertain. Was it a ceremonial center, an astronomical observatory, or something else entirely? While we've gained a clearer understanding of Stonehenge in recent decades, the logistics of transporting and erecting its massive stones remain impressive even by modern standards. Similarly, across the Mediterranean, on the island of Malta, lie the temples of Hagarkim and Menajdra, built over 5,000 years ago. These temples are among the oldest freestanding structures on Earth, with massive slabs of limestone forming intricate chambers aligned with solar and lunar events. The sheer effort needed to build these temples with limited resources and no metal tools poses yet another intriguing puzzle. Another lesser-known, yet equally fascinating site is the Plain of Jars in Laos, where hundreds of massive stone jars, some weighing several tons, are scattered across the landscape. Their origin and purpose remain unclear. Were they used for burial practices, ceremonial purposes, or something else? We simply don't know, and their existence continues to puzzle archaeologists. These engineering mysteries share a common theme. Ancient people achieved feats of construction and precision that seem extraordinary, given their supposed technological limitations. Each of these sites challenges our assumptions about early civilizations and what they were capable of. Archaeologists propose various explanations, often focusing on innovative yet straightforward methods leveraging ramps, ropes, pulleys, and sheer human effort. Yet even these theories struggle to fully explain the scale and precision found at places like Baalbek, Sacsayhuaman, or Pumapunku. Some researchers suggest that ancient builders possessed specialized knowledge of geometry, astronomy, and physics, allowing them to plan and execute these monumental projects. Others argue that societies of the past simply dedicated tremendous communal effort, motivated by spiritual or cultural significance. While these explanations are plausible, each still leaves unanswered questions. How exactly did ancient cultures manage the logistics involved? How did they cut and shape stone so precisely, often without evidence of metal tools or advanced machinery? This uncertainty doesn't imply anything mystical or supernatural. Rather, it highlights the gaps in our knowledge and reminds us just how little we genuinely understand about ancient construction techniques. These sites aren't evidence of lost civilizations with technology surpassing our own, but they do suggest societies far more sophisticated and innovative than we might have previously imagined. Today, archaeologists continue to study these megalithic wonders using modern scientific tools like laser scanning, drone mapping, and advanced geological analysis to gain fresh insights. Each discovery brings us closer to understanding, but also reinforces the complexity of the puzzle. The ancient world is far richer, more diverse, and more mysterious than the simplified narratives we often assume. In exploring these megalithic enigmas, we learn something crucial. History isn't always a straightforward march from simple to complex, from primitive to advanced. Instead, it's filled with remarkable moments of innovation, creativity, and mystery. Moments that quietly defy our expectations and assumptions. The massive stones of Baalbek, the precisely fitted blocks of Sacsayhuaman, and the complex carvings of Pumapunku all remind us to approach our past with humility and openness. Our story is still unfolding, and many chapters remain unfinished. So as we consider these ancient engineering marvels, perhaps the real lesson isn't just how little we understand about those who came before us, but how much we still have left to discover, patiently waiting for us in the quiet stonework and mysteries of the distant past. Sites like Baalbek, Sacsayhuaman, and Pumapunku remind us that ancient civilizations achieved feats we can hardly explain. But as we explore these incredible structures, it's important to recognize just how fragile our understanding of history really is. The past we piece together relies entirely on what survives through time, and unfortunately, much of what once existed has simply vanished, leaving only silence behind. It's easy to imagine history as something neatly preserved, books on a shelf, artifacts behind museum glass. But the reality is that preservation is the exception rather than the rule. Most of what ancient humans built, created, and used has long since disappeared, reclaimed by nature and the relentless passage of time. Organic materials, wood, textiles, leather, decay quickly, often vanishing entirely within decades or centuries. Even metal tools eventually rust and crumble away. Consider how little from our own daily lives would survive 10,000 years into the future. Plastic, metal, and even glass eventually degrade or become indistinguishable fragments in the earth. Future archaeologists might find traces of concrete foundations or perhaps the remains of massive steel structures, but much of our civilization's complexity and richness would simply be lost, quietly eroded away by time. The forces of nature play a major role as well. Plate tectonics, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and climate shifts continually reshape the planet's surface. Entire cities built near coastlines have been submerged by rising seas, their structures quietly broken down by waves and currents. In areas with intense geological activity, entire regions can sink, rise, or become buried beneath volcanic ash or layers of sediment.